This is going to sound like so much hate, and I swear it's not. Welcome back to your standard edition of the Wednesday Warner Brothas Podcast. I'm Kyle, joined today by my brother Keenan, joined today by my boy Tim Gray, Timmy G. What's up, fellas? Glad to be back.
Glad to be back as well. Last Wednesday was a little different. We ended up doing that as a hype reel. That was a fun time doing that there when I was in Vermont. But everywhere we're doing good, doing really good.
Might be joined by
Tim,
B. Petty in just a couple minutes here. We don't know.
He might just be. He's being held hostage by his work. He doesn't really know when he's coming, but I think he will eventually join us. As he did a couple weeks ago. He joined us mid-pod.
Yeah, and this is little foreshadow. We had a Tears. We're going to have something similar to it a little later on, which was actually why we hopped in, because he had to hop in halfway through the Tears. So interesting enough, he likes to do this. He likes to do this when we're starting to when we're putting rankings and things in together. But Kyle had a place where you wanted to start. Kyle, what do you want to talk about real quick?
I just want to say, I mean, that was a soft sell. Like, we had a great episode last Wednesday with Is the Hype Real podcast. And on top of that, shouts to those guys. Shouts to Ray. Shouts to John B.
100%.
Keenan debuted his week 10 at that point. QB tiers. We're getting those later today. I can't wait. I'm fired up for the tiers because I had so much to say during that episode, and that actually turned into a Keenan versus John B debate. Go check that out on YouTube on Is the Hype Real podcast. Their YouTube page. Go check that out, please. And I had so much more to say, and I can't wait to join in today and debate these QBs because I had so much to say. I do briefly want to start. We don't even have to spend too much time on it, but it was just, it came and it went, and it was, I don't know if I would call it seismic, but Nico Harrison got fired yesterday, and it was bizarre to me. Not because, I mean, he should have got fired the minute he brought that trade to send Luka to the Lakers. He should have been fired the moment he brought that up to ownership. So this is less to me about Nico Harrison and more about ownership. Because after he gets fired, you hear, oh, maybe they're talking about trading Anthony Davis and trading Kyrie Irving. Like, shouldn't y'all have been on like the same page about that in the offseason if you didn't want these vets? If you like, it almost seems like the Mavs ownership is running this like a football team. Like, we're in the first 3 weeks of the season. So much can happen. Matter of fact, the year the Mavericks made it to the finals, I think at one point they were a 10 seed and then flipped it around at the All-Star break, made some trades.
And then the year after they were a top 3 seed and then they missed the playoffs. Or sorry, the year before that. Yeah. Remember, they were a top 3 seed. They get Kyrie and then they missed the playoffs entirely.
So, I mean, and we kind of heard this after the trade, like when Nico was making the whole like defense win championships thing. Ownership said, like, we need players who are night to night and in shape. And he started naming like early 2000s players. And he mentioned Shaq, who was like never in shape. So like, you can just tell the ownership has no idea what they're doing. But for them to fire Nico and like blame the start on Nico Harrison when Kyrie's not even there, it just shows you what Cooper Flagg is going to have to deal with in the coming years as he reaches his prime, or if he's approaching his prime. And just on his rookie contract, the ownership has no idea, clearly. And we knew that, again, when Nico was given the okay on this trade. This trade should have never happened in February. Again, he should have been fired when he brought it to ownership. So I want to know your guys' reaction. Keenan, obviously you're a huge basketball fan. Tim, as an in and out basketball fan, I want to know what your guys' reaction to
Tim. I'm gonna have you start, Tim, and then I'll go from there.
Honestly, I don't have too much to say because I'm not too tied into basketball. When I heard the trade break last year or whatever, I immediately thought, like, what the fuck? Why is this man still employed? This man gets paid millions of dollars to potentially ruin a franchise when you trade away a franchise changing player like that. Did you guys see the video of the kid talking to the owner? Because that sparked a lot of debate now, saying like he potentially influenced the firing somehow. supposedly this kid like flipped off the owner, and they're season ticket holders. So his dad told him the only way he's going back to a game is if he apologizes to the owner. So he asked security if he could go over there and apologize. He was wearing a Luka Lakers jersey. And then the next day, Nico Harrison is fired at 10 a.m. in the morning or whatever. I agree with Kyle. I think it's early. They're 2-8 or something, and they're like, yep, that's enough to call it for the whole season.
Which would be fine in football.
Yeah, exactly. Like, sure. But we are literally 10% into the season, and you're firing your GM. That's not going to be a good situation going forward. You're going to have interim problems, all that stuff. So, yeah, I don't have too much to add on it, though.
I'm going to quickly add on the standings portion of it, and then I want to talk more about the actual whole saga of Luka. But like right now, they're 3-8. The Jazz are the 10 seed in the West at 4-7. Like the Suns are the 7th at 6-5, and the Timberwolves are the 6th and at 7-4. So I say that just to say, like, obviously we've played 1/8 of the season, 12% of the season's over. Like there's so much time left. And you have teams
and they've
ahead
got an
of you,
actual
like,
good roster.
No, they have a roster that's better than the Jazz, that's better than the Blazers, that's better than Phoenix, which are all three teams that are ahead of them that they easily could reach. So I understand that the season hasn't been great to the start, and offensively, they haven't been playing good basketball. Defensively, they've been a top 3 team. Offensively, they're like one of the 3 worst teams in the league. So obviously, Cooper Flagg's still getting his bearings. He's shown flashes of what he really can do, but also he hasn't been like instantly came into the league and like lit it on fire. But I mean, again, it's really difficult to do. But regardless, anyways, moving forward from the Mavericks itself, back to the trade, it's like what he traded Anthony Davis, or he traded Luka Doncic for Anthony Davis, Max Christie, and a first-round pick. And when that happened, obviously we all were like, this trade was one of the most ridiculous trades we've ever seen in our entire lives, and haven't seen something this crazy since Babe Ruth. So, like, we were not alive and World War I was going on. Like, when this last time we saw something this crazy, it was World War I time. And the only way that this trade would have been successful is if the Mavericks win a championship with the regime that they had with Anthony Davis, Kyrie Irving, Klay Thompson, and Luka never wins one. That's the only way because even if Luka wins one, now you're like, okay, you've just said you're short term and you're giving away a long term future. Luka would have to never win one. And now Luka this year is lean and playing like a man possessed, as we expected, because he's, Luka Doncic. And Anthony Davis has played, I think, 14 of the 44 games that he could in a Mavericks uniform, looking overweight. I saw a post today that was like, the Lakers have a gym, the Mavericks have a grill, because they showed a picture of fat Luka and fat Anthony Davis, and then ripped Luka and ripped Anthony Davis, which made me laugh today because I was like, AD has put on some weight, eating good down in Texas. So, but just, it's inexcusable. You should get fired for the thought of it. There's no reason why you trade one of the 3, 4, 5 best players in the league who is in the heart or beginning the heart of their prime for a guy who is old and aging to say, hey, we care about defense. And even if you're going to trade Luka, again, just wait for the offseason. When there was Giannis murmur, hey, 1-for-1 Giannis for Luka. We can sign off on that. We all would be like, you know what? Would I have done it? Maybe, maybe not. You got more years. But people could be like, yeah, Giannis, we can sign off on Giannis, and that's defense. That's your defensive model. So you don't need to trade a player like Luka Doncic at the trade deadline. It's not like you were pressing for like he was going to be a free agent in the offseason. It's a completely ridiculous move. And as Dallas went through a Micah trade, went through a Luka trade, this might be the first thing that they've felt in the last 10 months that's been like, oh, wow, great, outside of Paige Beckers being drafted to the Dallas Wings. Like, that might be the one thing. And obviously, it's not major Dallas basketball, but, like, outside of that, And Cooper Flag. And you're right. And Cooper, they got Cooper Flag and Paige Beckers. Those are the two stars of Dallas now. Because they said, hey, let's get Mike out of there. Let's get Luka out of there. It's just insane. And this is bound to happen. This is bound to happen. And now it's a fire sale for the whole team. And I feel bad. Or you're right, Kyle, what you said. I feel bad for Cooper Flag. Like,
yeah, because you know what? The thing about it, as terrible as the trade was, if you include and they get Cooper Flag out of it, Austin Reeves, especially, he should have absolutely, like any normal GM gets Anthony Davis and Austin Reeves and like every pick possible. But the fact that it's like Anthony Davis, Max Christie, and the number 1 pick next year, Cooper Flag, who's like some would consider generational, you're like, okay, you can kind of talk yourself into that. And you got vets around him. We weren't expecting Kyrie back until possibly the spring. So for ownership to just fire Nico like this, like, again, several months after it should have happened, just gross incompetence on ownership. Because, man, at least see this through. Sense. This could have at least been a playoff team. As stupid as that Luka trade was, as much as we all hate it, this could have at least been a playoff team. Like, the makings were there. We all kind of looked at this team like, that's something in the preseason. So, yeah, it's just a weird situation all around. And Luka's going to thrive in however many brings.
I'm going to mention something very, like, off topic, but still in the topic of sports. Obviously, I'm a huge women's basketball guy. Hannah Hidalgo is one of my favorite players in all of college basketball. She has been since she came in as a freshman to Notre Dame. She is one of the 3 best players, her, Lauren Betts, a couple others. Anyways, doesn't make a difference of what she is. Guess how many steals she had tonight against Akron?
Let's say 16.
22.
Kyle, did you know it actually was 16? It was broke the record for the most steals. That's 16.
I remember you mentioning her last year, like averaging like 3 or 4 steals a game. Like it was pretty routine for her to get a high number of steals. And normally I would guess 8 in that situation, but I figured it's college, it's early on, they're probably playing a scrub team. So I figured something ridiculous.
She she had 44 in 28 minutes. She had 44, 9 rebounds, 4 assists, and 16 steals in 28 minutes.
That's prime quadruple double territory if you get 16 steals.
She has 16.
I'd almost try to start padding my stats if I had 16 steals.
She should have at least got one more rebound to get a triple double with steals. But my God, she as a freshman, she averaged 4.6 last year, 3.7 this year so far in the season, 3.5. That's gonna jump up to about 8 a game, and obviously because it's inflated after only 3 games. But I only needed to mention shout out to Hannah Hidalgo. I'm excited for women's college basketball. Unfortunately, we don't have Juju this year, but we've got so many stars, and it's going to be great to watch. But anyways, Nico Harrison fired because he's not good and made one of the worst decisions I've ever seen in my entire life. Well, the worst decision I've ever seen in my entire life for a sports organization. And yeah, and then Hannah Hidalgo's a monster. We don't want to talk about anything else, or we want to get into NFL?
Only thing I would say is I think Nico Harrison's an idiot for sure, but I can't call him all the way bad at GM because he made great moves the prior trade deadline to get him into the finals.
Oh yeah, no, he made the worst GM move I've ever seen in my entire life.
For sure. Like it's just crazy because before that, like he kind of looked like a genius because they got propelled to the finals in a year where you didn't necessarily think they'd make the finals. And then the next year, he's like, let me undo all that.
All of that and then some. And good, just for note, you're able to accept what I'm about to say if you have Luka and you're building towards more and more chips every year. In 2030, their pick goes to San Antonio. In 2029, their pick goes to Houston. And in 2028, their pick goes to Oklahoma City. They have their pick this year, and then next year, I believe it's a swap as well. I don't think after this year they have their first-round pick until 2031. And they give their picks to Houston, Oklahoma City, and San Antonio.
3 of the better teams. Woohoo.
Yeah, and and though that's fine when you're giving the
26th,
27th, 29th, It's fine when you're giving those picks. It's not fine when this team might be
lottery,
not even in 10 next year, and you're giving Oklahoma City a lottery pick. You're giving Houston maybe a lottery pick, and then you're giving Wemby and the Spurs maybe a lottery pick. Like, that just doesn't work anymore. Obviously, you've got Cooper Flagg, so like by that point, you hope you're out of it. But obviously, the West is loaded, and you don't know what those rosters are going to materialize into. You don't even know what Cooper Flagg's going to be. You assume, but you don't know. What I did know was that Luka was really good. I watched that with my own eyes. I watched him have more All-NBA first teams than Steph Curry already in his career. I watched. He's pretty good. He's a pretty good ball player. Good ball player.
There is no guard in Luka Doncic.
No, he's averaging a smooth, cool 37, 9, and 9 this year. Just bored. As bored as he could be. 37 in 37 minutes. But
had him.
Well,
could have just had him for eternity, Dallas.
Could have had him
until the end of time.
Or could have traded him for, I don't know, Giannis or someone like that. Maybe could have gotten a guy like that. I don't know. Anyways,